Modify report templates. All reports generated by the application are issued in Excel format. The templates are Excel workbooks that can be modified to suit the needs of the system user. Each template must contain a sheet named Design, which informs the system where to write the data retrieved from the database. There are two types of reports. Single record report. This type of report focuses on one specific record from the database. Record list report. This type of report displays a list of records. By modifying these Excel templates, users can customize the report format, structure, and presentation to better meet their reporting needs. Single report. In single record reports, the design sheet of the template contains the following structure. Cell A1 must contain the word sheet. Cell B1 must contain the word cell. Cell C1 must contain the word field. In the rows below, the template specifies which sheet and cell will display the value of a database field. For example, in an instrument report, on the sheet named Report, the code of the instrument will be written in cell B4. On the same sheet, the instrument type will be written in cell B5, and so on, until all the desired information is displayed in the report. The Fields sheet shows the available fields that can be displayed in the report. If you want to change the position of a field's value, simply update the design sheet to specify which cell should contain that value. The rest of the cells in the report can contain any other information, allowing full use of Excel's features, such as cell formatting, formulas, charts, and more. This flexibility enables the creation of highly customized reports tailored to your needs. Record report. In the record list reports, the design sheet of the template is structured as follows. Cell A1 must contain the phrase header row. Cell A2 must contain a number indicating the row number where the column headers will be written. Cell A3 must contain the word sheet. Cell B3 must contain the word column. Cell C3 must contain the word field. Cell D3 must contain the word header. In the rows below, the template specifies the sheet, column, and field from the database, as well as the header for each column. For example, in a master list report, on the report sheet, column A will contain the group to which the instrument belongs. Column B will contain the instrument code. Column C will display the description, and so on, for the rest of the fields. This structure allows the report to display a list of records, with each field written in the specified columns under the appropriate headers. The flexibility of Excel also enables users to adjust the format, style, and layout of the report as needed. Study reports are considered single record reports, but they have the unique feature of displaying measurements in a table format, making them appear similar to a list report. In the report template for studies such as R&R, bias, linearity, stability, and calibration, there is a specific sheet named Data, where the measurements are displayed. For R&R attribute studies, the sheets Hypothesis Test Analysis and Signal Detection Approach are used, corresponding to the methods used for that type of calculation. These sheets, Data, Hypothesis Test Analysis, and Signal Detection Approach, are fixed and should not be modified, as the system always writes the measurement data to these sheets. The formulas within the template refer to the sheet where the measurements are written. You are allowed to modify these formulas to adjust the calculation methods to your needs. However, you must be cautious when modifying formulas, as the system relies on the template to calculate the study results, which are then stored in the database. Incorrect changes to the formulas could impact the accuracy of the calculations. In the various study reports, measurements are written to specific cell ranges, depending on the type of study being conducted. Here are the details for each type of report. R&R Variable Study Report. Measurements are written to the range A2L20. Bias Study Report. Measurements are written to the range A1B21. Linearity Study Report. Measurements are written to the range A1K22. Stability Study Report. Measurements are written across the range AAH. Calibration Study Report. Measurements are written in two ranges, A1K12 and A32K42. For this report, the uncertainty sheet is also used to calculate type B uncertainty. The cells involved are D3, D8, F5, F8, and H8. Each type of instrument may have its own calibration template, as the uncertainty calculations vary depending on the instrument type. This template is uploaded through the instrument type view. If a specific instrument type does not have its own calibration template, the system will default to using the general template provided in the configuration view. That concludes the QGage course. Remember, you have technical support available to answer any questions you may have, as well as to help customize report templates according to your needs. Thank you for your attention.
Ever feel like you're playing hide and seek with your tools, except you're the one who's always it?
Yeah, I can see how that would get old pretty quick.
Right. And it's not just about finding them, it's about knowing, like really knowing what condition they're in. Are they calibrated? Where were they last used? It's like they need their own personal assistants.
Well, in a way, that's what QGage reports are all about. It's like giving each tool a voice so you can understand its history, its current status, and even anticipate what it might need in the future.
Okay, I like that, giving your tools a voice. So in this deep dive, we're becoming what? Instrument whisperers.
Exactly. We're diving deep into the world of QGage reports, seeing how they can transform you from a frustrated tool hunter into someone who truly understands the language of their equipment.
I'm ready to speak fluent toolbox. But let's start with the basics. What kind of reports are we talking about here?
Well, QGage offers a really solid lineup of what we call essential reports. These are like the foundation of good tool management. Think of them like the essential tools in your toolbox, the ones you reach for again and again.
So what are we talking about here? Give me the rundown of these essential QGage reports.
All right, first up, we have the inventory report. This one's pretty straightforward. It's like taking a head count of all your tools.
So no more wondering if you have enough of something. You just open up QGage and bam, there's your answer.
Exactly. No more last-minute scrambles or delays because you can't locate a critical tool. The inventory report eliminates that guesswork and gives you a real-time snapshot of what you have on hand.
Love it. Okay, what's next in our essential reports lineup?
Next up is the out-of-place report, which I have a feeling might become your new best friend. Remember that whole hide-and-seek problem we talked about?
Oh yeah, the daily struggle.
Well, this report is like having a GPS tracker on every single one of your tools.
So no more wasted time retracing your steps or searching through every nook and cranny.
You got it. The out-of-place report tells you exactly where a tool is, or at least where it was last scanned, saving you time and frustration.
Okay, that's a game changer for sure. What about when you're working with, say, different teams or on projects that require specific sets of tools? Things could get pretty disorganized pretty quickly, right?
Absolutely, and that's where the by group report comes in. Think of it like color-coding your tools for different projects or departments.
So I could see all the tools assigned to, let's say, the engineering team versus the maintenance team, all neatly organized within QGage.
Precisely. It streamlines workflows and ensures that everyone has access to the tools they need when they need them.
Organization is key. Now, we've talked about locating tools and keeping them organized, but what about staying ahead of the game when it comes to things like calibration and maintenance?
Music to my ears. Proactive management is where it's at, and QGage has you covered with its expiration and schedule reports.
Okay, so walk me through these reports. What makes them so essential?
Imagine this. You need to know which tools are due for calibration next week. Or maybe you need to identify any tools with certifications that are about to expire. Instead of manually digging through spreadsheets or relying on memory, QGage gives you a clear, concise report.
So it's like having a personal assistant who keeps track of all those critical deadlines for you, ensuring you stay compliant and avoid any last-minute surprises.
Exactly. These reports take the guesswork out of staying on top of your tool maintenance, which is crucial for accuracy, safety, and compliance.
And I imagine having that kind of documentation is super helpful when it comes to things like audits or even just internal reviews.
Absolutely. And speaking of documentation, QGage offers another set of essential reports, admin reports. These reports help you keep track of all the behind-the-scenes activity related to your tools.
Behind the scenes. Give me an example of when I might need to use an admin report.
Sure. Let's say you need to track down when a specific change was made to a tools record, or maybe you want to see who has access to particular tools information. Admin reports provide a detailed audit trail, ensuring transparency and accountability.
So if there's ever a question about a tool's history or who made changes to its record, the admin reports have got your back.
Exactly. It's all about having a clear and reliable record of events, which is essential in any field where accuracy and traceability are paramount.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've got our inventory report, our tool tracking out-of-place report, the organizational by group report, and our proactive pals, the expiration and schedule reports. And of course, we can't forget those admin reports, keeping everything nice and documented.
Hmm.
But I gotta say, even with all these essential reports we've covered, I'm sensing there's more to uncover here. Like, what if you want to dig a little deeper, Really fine-tune things.
You're definitely picking up on something. QGage doesn't just stop at the essentials. It's like, remember that toolbox analogy? Well, now we're going to open up that hidden compartment with all the specialty tools.
Oh, I love a hidden compartment. Tell me more. What kind of specialty tools are we talking about in the world of QGage reports?
Customization, my friend. QGage gives you the power to tailor those reports to fit your specific needs, just like those specialty tools for those unique jobs.
Okay, custom reports. I'm intrigued. So how does this work? Do I need to, learn how to code or something to make these custom reports?
You can leave the coding to the pros. QGage makes it surprisingly user-friendly. We have two main flavors of customization: single record reports and record list reports.
Okay, so two flavors. Tell me more about these single record reports. What makes them so special?
Picture this. You have a tool that's been acting a bit finicky, right? You need to see its entire history, every calibration, every repair, everything. Single record reports are like pulling that tool's entire medical record.
So if I want to investigate why my trusty pressure gauge is suddenly having mood swings, a single record report will give me that detailed history.
Precisely. It's like having a private investigator on the case, but instead of solving crimes, we're solving tool mysteries.
Love it. All right, so that's single record reports for getting the lowdown on one specific tool. What about record list reports? When would I use those?
Now imagine you need to analyze data from a bunch of different tools at once, maybe see if there are any trends or if any are performing outside the norm. That's where record list reports come in.
So it's like taking a group photo, but instead of awkward smiles, we're capturing performance data.
Exactly. It's a powerful way to compare and contrast, spot those outliers, and get a handle on the big picture.
Okay, group photos and medical records. I'm getting a much clearer picture of these custom reports. But how do we actually go about customizing them? Is it drag and drop, or are we talking spreadsheets and formulas?
QGage uses the power of Excel templates for customization. Don't worry, it's not as intimidating as it sounds.
Excel templates, you say, so we can really get in there and tweak things.
Absolutely. You can adjust how the data is displayed, add your own custom formulas for specific calculations, or even create completely new report layouts from scratch. It's pretty flexible.
Wow, so we're not just rearranging the furniture here. We're, like architects, redesigning the whole building.
Exactly. Think about it. Let's say you're tracking instrument downtime in a manufacturing plant. You could create a custom report that pulls data points like the reason for downtime, the duration, the affected equipment, and even the associated costs, all in one place.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. Actionable insights that can actually improve processes and potentially save a lot of money. But with all this customization power, there's got to be a catch, right?
Well, like with any powerful tool, it's important to use it responsibly. It's definitely possible to get in over your head with custom formulas or accidentally mess up a report if you're not careful.
So it's like having a really awesome power drill. You can do amazing things with it, but you probably shouldn't use it without reading the instructions first.
Exactly. Take your time, understand the basics, and don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need it. QGage has resources available like documentation and support to guide you through the process.
Okay, so proceed with a healthy dose of caution, but don't be afraid to explore the possibilities. I'm ready to unlock my inner report-building guru. But before I get too carried away with customization, let's talk about a category of reports that sounds pretty intense. The study reports.
Yes, the study reports. These are where QGage really gets down to the nitty-gritty of instrument performance analysis.
Nitty-gritty, huh? Sounds serious. What kind of analyses are we talking about here?
We're talking about detailed studies like R&R, which stands for repeatability and reproducibility, bias, linearity, stability, and of course the big one, calibration.
Okay, those definitely sound like some heavy hitters in the world of instrument analysis. To really wrap my head around this, can we walk through a real-world scenario? Let's stick with the pressure gauge example. Those things pop up everywhere.
Perfect example. Pressure gauges are used in so many industries, from manufacturing and healthcare to energy and research. And let me tell you, a miscalibrated pressure gauge can have some serious consequences.
Okay, so let's dive in. Say we're working with this pressure gauge. How does QGage's calibration report go beyond just a simple pass or fail?
That's the thing. It's not just about a thumbs up or thumbs down. The calibration report in QGage gives you a complete breakdown of the entire calibration process.
So we're not just checking a box. We're getting a deep understanding of the instrument's performance.
You got it. You can see the actual measurements taken during the calibration, the calculated uncertainties, and even identified potential sources of error.
Wow. So we can actually use the report to troubleshoot issues, improve our calibration procedures, and ensure long-term accuracy.
Precisely. It's about moving beyond reactive problem solving and stepping into proactive optimization. And there's even more. Remember those Excel templates we talked about?
Oh yeah, the customization superpowers. They apply to these study reports too.
You bet. And this is where things get really interesting. QGage has a special data sheet within the study reports that lets you access and modify the actual formulas driving the calculations.
Yeah, the data sheet, think of it like uh, lifting the hood and getting a look at the engine that's driving these reports. It's where the real power users can really fine-tune things.
Okay, so we're talking some next-level customization here. But give me an example. When would I actually need to venture into this data sheet?
Let's say you need to incorporate a very specific statistical analysis that's, unique to your industry or your company's standards. The data sheet gives you that flexibility.
So it's like having a team of software engineers on call, but instead of building a whole new system, they're giving you the tools to tweak the existing one yourself.
Precisely. But, and this is important, like any powerful tool, you got to know what you're doing. Even a small change to a formula in that data sheet can have a domino effect on your results.
Okay, so proceed with caution. Don't go in there willy-nilly changing formulas unless you really know what you're doing. Exactly. Double-check your work, consult with an expert if you need to, and never, ever underestimate the importance of data integrity.
Words to live by. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from the foundational reports that keep our toolboxes in check to the customizable powerhouses that can reveal hidden insights and the super detailed study reports that dive deep into instrument performance. What's the key takeaway for our listeners? What's the one thing they should remember about QGage reports?
You know, at the end of the day, QGage reports are more than just static documents or checklists. They're dynamic tools that can revolutionize how you understand, manage, and optimize your tools and equipment.
It's about moving beyond simply managing tools to really truly understanding them. It's about becoming fluent in the language of your equipment, those subtle cues and signals that might have gone unnoticed before.
And the exciting part is we're only just scratching the surface. As technology evolves, who knows, maybe we'll see QGage reports that can actually predict potential problems before they even happen. Now that's what I call proactive.
A future where our tools tell us what they need before we even realize it ourselves. Sign me up. But for now, I want to thank you for this incredible deep dive into the world of QGage reports. It's been eye-opening, to say the least.
The pleasure was all mine. Until next time, keep those reports coming and keep asking those insightful questions.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of tool management. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.